Live in 5, 4, 3. Hello everyone, this is Victor Homweson welcoming you to the Hair, Beauty and African Heritage webcast. You're streaming live from Services SETA in Parktown, Johannesburg. This is part of the Heritage initiative that is meant to orientate young people about what heritage has to offer, especially African heritage, what opportunities are there to start a career, to earn a living, to create a business, to run it successfully, make a living out of that which is our African heritage. Americans do it every time. They take their go big or go home culture too far, from your mama to football to baseball. They find a way of taking everything that's American and making it into blockbuster movies, making it into songs that are hits globally, making everything that they can sell to the world. Are Africans able to do that, particularly Africans here in South Africa? So we're going to be together for the next 45 minutes or so. We're talking about this because we want to make sure that when you leave, you have an idea and an appreciation of how much your heritage, our heritage, has to offer. We're going to have a very, very illustrious panel here, starting with Dr. Moteo Oiziwe from the Indigenous Knowledge System Center at the University of the Northwest. Welcome, Doctor. It's good to see you. Like your outfit, colorful, African. I'm the only one who's very non-compliant in terms of dress code. But hey, that's why I'm here, and you are going to share insights with us. And along with you, a student of the Indigenous Knowledge System Center also, and a graduate in her own right, Kgothatso Mafiri.
Yes.
There you go. I've just rechristened you. Kgothatso Mafiri, excuse me. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. And next to me, we have got Jabu Stone from Jabu Stone. I'm your fan and I'm a Chiscop. You know you're a legend.
Thank you.
When your fan is a Chiscop and you are selling dreadlocks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good to see you again.
Thanks.
And last but not least, from the Redefining Beauty Institute. She's beauty redefined herself. Her name is Kamohelo Makhabani. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, sir.
All right. Now, everybody, if you look at them visually, except me, make a statement culturally. All of them do that. And you know they are dressed for the occasion, but they are also making a very important cultural visual statement. Doctor, tell me about the Indigenous Knowledge System Center. What kind of an institution is it and what motivated the founding of the institution?
Indigenous Knowledge Systems, in my own Setswana language, is Kitso ya Setso. And if you go to the Zulus, they call it Ulwazi lwendabuko. So what this means is that even before colonialism, before slavery, our own grandparents, they had knowledge, not only knowledge, but also scientific knowledge that they used to address their daily challenges in issues of food security, in issues of climate change, in all the areas that you can think about, including health, including agriculture, including in what we call African astronomy. So Indigenous Knowledge Systems is that corpus of knowledge that our elders have developed many, many years ago. And this knowledge, like as I said, at the Northwest University, we are the first institution in South Africa to have an accredited program of teaching, research and learning and community engagement in African knowledge systems. It is registered with the South African Qualification Authority, which is SAQA, and approved by the Council of Higher Education. We are a consortium of about 5 universities: Northwest University, University of Venda, University of Limpopo, and the University of South Africa, and ourselves. So at the Northwest University, in the Faculty of Natural and Agricultural Sciences, where I'm the acting research director there, we teach students there on their own knowledge systems. Kgothatso here on my left, she's one of the graduates that we have developed many, many years ago. So we train students in African knowledge systems on issues of African heritage, on issues of African science and technology, African cultural systems, and also African health systems. So we've been doing this for many years. Actually, like as I say, we are the pioneer of indigenous knowledge systems, not only in South Africa, but also in the continent.
When you say African knowledge systems, you made me feel like as Africans, we have walked away miles from what was always there in the area of science, in the area of medicine. What example can you give me today to demonstrate how far we are removed from that which you are teaching?
Like as you know, innovation is the order of the day today. And we are living in a global knowledge economy. So today is no longer about what you are wearing, how you look like, and all those. It's about the knowledge that you have and what kind of ideas you can be able to generate to be able to create opportunities for people who may not have opportunities like me, who went to the university. The people at Umhlaba Lengana, Batoba Lenkomitsenyana. So how do we utilize our own local resources to ensure that we can generate income for our own people and also create viable and job opportunities which will give them dignity? Not just a job where people will just be getting some kind of incentive, but something that can also be on a short, on a medium, and also on a long-term role. Because at the end of the day, unemployment, as we know, is a big issue. We have students in the universities. And the challenge is that there is a gap between what is being offered in institutions of higher learning and what is required in the industry. And we want now to look into our own, like as I was saying, building on the indigenous is a very important thing. Look at what you have to be able to look outside and how you can be able to interface your knowledge with other knowledge systems like modern science and technology.
Because it's only when you know what you have, what
Yes.
you're worth, that
Yeah.
you can see value in others.
Yeah.
So right now we've got it topsy-turvy. We want to
Yes.
see value in other people's things when we don't know our own, so
Yeah.
that when you even get value from them, we don't put it to use. Because if you don't do that, then what happens? Looking at the Lengana situation with COVID, which is something that has, you know something is real when it's got a Sesotho name, and Sesotho I mean groups, Lengana, Umhlonyane, Velde als in Afrikaans, got an English name. And we refused here in South Africa to do that during COVID, to acknowledge that it can treat, until, guess what? An institute in Germany, the Max Planck Institute, said, hey, this thing actually works, but it's too late, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Because then they will take the patent and become the owners of that which we could have owned. Is that an example, more or less, of what you mean?
Yes, that's one of the examples, but there could be many because Lengana is just the recent thing.
Right, just using it because everybody can relate.
There is a rooibos issue.
Right.
There is the issue that I think it was a big issue that was between the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research of the Hoodia plant that the Baswara used to use when they were traveling long distances when they were
For
hunting.
hydration.
And when they eat that particular herb, they don't get thirsty and they don't get tired, and they can travel long kilometers that you cannot even imagine. So you see, such kind of example. There is an issue of the African potato, and there's also there are so many cases that we can talk about that we have. How can we now not use modern scientific knowledge to validate our knowledge has been validated for years. Based on a trial and error. Our people are also researchers. So when we do research, because research is about coming up with new knowledge, it's not like going to the laboratory. Our research institutions are the communities and also our experts, because these people, like as I say, they've been there for a long time and they know that when you use this thing, this will be the result. So let's just interface knowledge system so that the other knowledge does not become superior to the other one.
Wow.
Yeah.
They knew that, except they just didn't document it. So you're finding that the stuff you are reading about, you're studying, is something that's been there, as Dr. Wezu is saying, but it wasn't documented. So it looks like somebody else discovered it. Roy Boss, an American, a woman in Texas, tried to say Roy Boss is an American brand. The chic to take a name that sounds openly Afrikaans and call it an American product. You are part of the Indigenous Knowledge Systems Center, and you have been there. What would you say the benefits have been to you?
What I can say I have benefited from studying or being a graduate of IKS is that I've learned that there's importance in almost everything that we have as Africans, in the sense that you find value in things that one wouldn't even take value in it in many cases. I have learned that everything and anything can be important to us as Africans. And I've realized that in many cases, people bring religion into knowledge. And these things should be separated. Just now you were talking about Lengana. Many people are negative towards Lengana because they are bringing the religious side of it, if there is. They are not just looking at the physical of the plant. Because what then happens, you'll find your institutions, your research institutions, they take that very plant and they take the physical part of it and they start to extract. And then they resell it and repackage it to you. But then when Mosadi Mogolo wa kwa motseng a etlale, the same thing, what you are thinking of many cases, boloi. That's where then they start bringing the religion that is not even part of the plants, whereby in many cases it's about look at the physical before you can think of the other aspects that have to do with whatever that we are. So in many cases I've realized that with IKS it's so important, but people don't see the value because we have been infiltrated by other religions that are foreign to us, that have nothing to do with us, whereby, for instance, you'll find a person, I'll step on people's toes for now. You'll find people say, literally, you're very lucky. Yep. People will say that, no, I will not be part of this because I don't believe in ancestors. What are ancestors? I think I would like to school them since all alive. Yeah. An ancestor is merely someone that has lived and is no longer here.
Yeah. Like Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Of which other people will question, did he even ever come? Or is it a religion that was just created? Yeah. But in this sense, many people do not want to look at the tangible things that are there that we can just look at directly, and they want to bring in other things, whereby when it comes to, when you are an indigenous knowledge student or a student of anything, don't come with knowledge. Come as a person that knows nothing so that you will be able to learn.
Right. Yes. But now you, as a young person, live on social media, which is flooded with so much stuff that's already deprived or devoid of any kind of indigenous value to Africans. How do you balance that when your social media is so populated by stuff out of New York, Hollywood, and Europe, and yet you want to rediscover yourself as an African?
I'm inquisitive.
Okay.
I've always been inquisitive.
Yeah.
So that works to my advantage because I know who you are. Because when you know who you are, as much as you will allow certain things to teach you and to shape you, you don't deviate from what you truly are.
Wow.
So we might have all these things that come from the West or come from wherever the other regions that we have in the world. But I am an African at the end of the day. And I cannot now, the thing is, like I said, there's so much to us as Africans that we have moved away from. As an African or as a physical, you are both spirit and flesh. But in many cases, as Africans, we want to move away from the spiritual part of us and the spiritual aspect that we have as Africans. And we want to just focus on what's going on. There's technology, there's all of that. It's in our eyes, yes, it's very advantageous, but we also need to learn, most importantly, that African knowledge is not knowledge that is static. It evolves with time. And just because it evolves with time, we shouldn't lose focus and now start clinging on to what everyone else is doing. There's so much to us.
I would like to hear more about examples of what you'd say in your time at IKS, the Indigenous Knowledge System Center. You have learned, and you can share with people out there to help them appreciate that around them, amongst the people they live with, their elders, their seniors, their parents, their neighbors, there are so many things of value, so much indigenous knowledge that they can use and quantify. Maybe start putting on social media so that we populate social media rather than consume what's on it. I want you to think, and even Dr. Kwezwe, just to think of real examples that you can share with us. But before I say, you said know who you are And I'm going to go to the Redefining Beauty Institute. The name says a lot, Kamohelo Makhabane, but listening to Hotatso here, how would you introduce your organization? What's there to redefine from what to what?
There is a lot to redefine. As the Redefining Beauty movement, we exist purely for that. The name in itself is self-explanatory. It explains what we actually do, which is to redefine beauty. You know that word?
Like lightening your skin.
Not quite. That's not redefining per se. So if you look at the word redefine, it's two words. There's the word RE and the word define. So anytime a word is prefixed with an RE, it means define must be done again. We are defining again. We are defining anew. So we are saying as a movement, we need to redefine what? Beauty. Because what we are seeing is not what we want to see. So what are we, you ask me, what am I redefining from? We are redefining from a colonized mindset.
Right.
We are redefining from Western culture. We are redefining from Asian influences. We are redefining from Eurocentric beauty standards. And plain simple, what are we redefining to? Everything that is African. We need to redefine what beauty is to us. We've been taking too long, too much. Now it's time for us to say, this is what beauty is. And our organization is exactly about that. We need to be going back to saying, we need to be loving ourselves. And so when you love yourself, you discover who you are. That's where institutions like these are very pivotal. We get to learn from history. Because we cannot travel a road going to a future without knowing our past. How do we celebrate? How do we laugh? How do we even put on social media that which we have not defined and that which we have embraced?
But now talking to young people, you are going to find they say, hey, I'm trying to commercialize my existence here. I'm trying to find things that can add commercial value. Either give me a job or help me build a business. Can you hold your own in that kind of an argument that you can redefine beauty and still be commercially viable?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the point is this. We celebrate the things that we celebrate now because they are given to us. We love what we love now because other cultures have taken the time to tell their stories and to put on platforms and to celebrate that. So if we are going to do that, we're going to make money or to create businesses and careers for ourselves, we need to do that sourcing from that which is us.
So telling a story now, is that where it would start? Telling the right story.
It can start there. Right now, today we're talking about beauty and we're talking about hair. I mean, we already wear hair. We have our own hair. It's time we understood that hair.
Well, you're hurting me right now because I have to speak about.
It's a pity, but knowledge for you will help you for your daughters and your cousins. So you learning about hair, what texture it is, what make it is, or how to treat it, how to wash it, how to take care of it, how to style it. You're asking about young people and careers. A young person needs to learn how to take care of the African hair. We know how to take care of weeds. We know the grading, we know the types, we know that it's from which country. We know how to do that. So the problem to me says it means we have not learned our hair enough to know the different textures, the kinds of porosity, what gets it growing, what gets it damaged, what that's what I'm saying. And let me finish with saying, if you're talking, let's say careers, for someone that's going to be a hairdresser, you're a creative. I see a hairdresser and people that are in the beauty spaces as creatives. Take our hair and create something out of it. People know how to create different, from long hair that is from Asia and cut it up, make it a bob. So how is it that we cannot do that with our own?
Because our hair is kinky.
And
Versatile.
the other people's hair is straight.
Yeah, I remember.
So with us, we must learn. Why is it kinky, for instance? Why is it coily? What made it coily? How can you make it pliable? How can you make it soft?
It's African. It needs to be improved.
Not necessarily improved. It needs to be enhanced.
Well, I'm provoking you because I want to bring in Jabu Stoke, who made a living out of embracing nothing.
Getting angry now here because you're provoking her.
Well, I'm provoking you by provoking her. That's the one
I'm listening, man. She's answered so well as well.
Wait a minute, you are getting out of line.
Yeah.
You made I remember meeting you and you saw my chest scope and said, gee, man, you are of no use to me because I can't do anything for you. But you made dreadlocks fashionable. I mean, let's start there.
Let's correct the wording first.
Okay.
It's not dreadlocks.
What is
These are hair locks.
hair lock?
There's nothing dreadful about them.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're redefining.
Yes. That was a slavery name when they say your hair is dreadful, fearful, scary.
Yeah.
So these are hair locks or African locks.
Right.
Color locks.
What's their story, by the way?
The hairstyle, if you go back, it's like, there's a tribe in West Africa that by far, they used to leave their hair to grow. Natural, organic, start growing. Now the slave master came and they saw this young man with hair that is tender. That's when they said your hair is fearful, scary, dreadful.
Dreadful.
Yes. But when you go to history, you realize that most of the holy people, the spiritual, they leave their hair, even our traditional healers, they would leave the hair to grow. So it's got a lot of history, the issue of hair. Now, Minage, what I did, I looked at that and I realized that by the time, when I grew up, it was associated with your ganja smoking, your untidy, but the very same people, they were anti-locks. Our mothers and fathers, once you come up with that hairstyle, they will say, so you had all those things, Now, because my sister has been in the hair industry, so I'll see like straightening the hair, people, and then I said, man, there's something wrong here. Why the scalp is getting bad? How can she spoke about Afrocentric beauty study. How can you bring that? We forget the Eurocentric beauty study. Let's bring Afrocentric beauty study.
Wow.
Now, leaving your hair to grow organic, yes, it will grow different shapes. But I came with the cultivated method to hold the hair the same size and twist the hair towards a certain direction. That is now, I'm convincing, the movement and the growth of the hair. So that's when the hair started to grow.
You're playing me right now. You're convincing the hair?
The hair, I'm talking to the hair now, not to you. I said, because it's curly, you said it's curly.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at that curl. Because I know the curl grows, but don't look, it grows against the scalp. Now I wanted to pull it away from the scalp. Now I looked at that curl, I said, let me take a few strands, pull them away from the scalp. Because we grew up saying, your hair will never grow. But by doing that, pulling it away from the scalp, we realized that African hair grows forever. You find people having locks right up to here. So now we are changing now. That thing of saying, you are not lookable with your natural hair. Hence, our sisters, then they would have skin lighteners, straighten the hair, they follow the Eurocentric because they were told, you're not lookable.
Yes.
So I took that look, I said, no. Let's take this. Because our sisters, they enjoy those singles, the braids. They enjoy that. But why can't you take your own hair? Grow, it's your own hair. You haven't added anything.
But now you commercialized it and you were smart because you gave it to an icon. Many people might not know her. She was a newsreader at the time, if I'm not mistaken. She was one of your clients, am I right? Jerry Ransed, yeah.
Quite a number of them.
How did you strike that? How did you get that deal? It's not like you were a celebrity at the time.
Because people didn't know who Jabu, who Stone was.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I didn't have the money to advertise. Hence, I had to name it.
Yeah.
My name and surname. Because when I've got an interview on a newspaper, they can name me as a Jabu Stone and then the product written there.
Yep.
So it will be kind of a back-to-back advertising. And now you need celebrity endorsement.
Yeah.
You need to go to the people that are in the media, that are loved, that are watched. So that's how I approached Jerry.
But how did you convince her that you were the right person?
She had wild, the hair was wild, like organic. I said organic. Then I said, man, I met her at the chemist in Hillbrow many years ago. I said, look, man, my name is Jabu. I can, do something on you, And then she said, okay, let's take a try. Wow. But don't straighten my. I said, no, I'm not even getting that. That's when I started. And before that, I did my own research to realize that why the hair, the Rastafarian, the locks, they're getting dull and become red. You see. Then I realized that it's the ultraviolet rays of the sun. Because the hair grows and then it's not protected. Because your scalp produces natural oils. You shampoo, you strip the oils. Wow. No moisture that is added. So that's when you need things like lanolin. Lanolin is a sheepskin, it's a fat from the, so that add moisture on the hair. So that's how we started our research on that. and then your sunscreen agent to protect against those ultraviolet rays of the sun. So that's what we started working on there. When I approached Jerry and the others, already I had the product that was ready to correct.
You had your answers
To correct their problem.
to every question. But I won't leave you finish this introduction without sharing your story of how you made your products and that little accident you had when you delivered your first batch of products and they were wrong.
Yeah, that was rough.
Because, I mean, that's the kind of comeback I like everybody here to hear about.
Yes.
You decided you're gonna, and I wanna come back to the indigenous knowledge, the research, just how much of the research and the preparation he put in. So you can start talking about some other examples. But just to wrap up your intro, please share with us the setback you suffered when you thought you had made a breakthrough.
You see, like any other young entrepreneur in the beginning, you don't have funding. So you kind of get assistant from what we call it contract packaging.
Right.
You go to somebody who will assist to put, all the products together for you with the machinery and all the things. Now this is what I did. And from there, that time I used to buy one box, which is 96 in a box. Now this time I've got an order. They need about 5 boxes, which is 96 times 5. So it was a big order for me. I'm like, wow, this is happening. Then and then now, if you go to a chain store, they allocate time for you that you must be there at 10 o'clock. Other companies come at 11, so they allocate space. Now they say, Jabu, at 10 o'clock Friday, we need you there. Now, my chemist that side, I said, I'll be there at 7 o'clock to collect the product. 5 boxes, Jabu, it's ready. Go in there. But what I do, and then I'll do a quality control, check the product. If it's correct, it's exactly what I'm expecting.
Right.
Now my product, the first product was a molding cream. Can you hear the name cream? So the cream was slightly pink inside. Now I go in there and then I look at the product. I check the viscosity. Hey, it's weak. It's like water. And the color is brown, dark brown.
Okay.
Now I must leave and deliver the stock at 10. Now, the chemist, I asked him, I said, but this is not what I normally get here. What happened? He said, Jabu, why don't you come back on Monday? Now, if I'm not there at 10 o'clock, then they would look and say, you're not interested, then they won't allocate space for me.
Wow. And weekends when people do their hair.
Exactly. So now I needed to deliver there, but I can't deliver the wrong product.
Except you did deliver the wrong product.
Yes, I had to. But now I had to call a friend.
Okay.
I called Wendy. Then I asked her, can you quickly make a sticker for me? That written, irrespective of color change and viscosity, Jabu Stone guarantees the quality of this product.
Come on, man.
Yes.
Okay.
Then I took those stickers, I put them on the lid on top. Then I delivered at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Then I asked them, why are you taking these products? Which stores?
Right.
They said, no, come on Monday, we'll tell you.
Yeah.
Then on Monday, I went and then they told me when. In the afternoon, I went. Then Dr. Hans said I must come back on Monday to get the right product.
Right.
In the afternoon, I had the right product. On Tuesday, I went to all those stores that the product, then I changed the product and put the right one on the shelf.
And you took back the lie.
The wrong one.
And you took back the lie.
Yes, I took back the lie.
But do you understand why I'm asking you these things? Because these are the realities what will come up against.
Right, yeah.
And then you forced your way into the shelves in Carlton Center somewhere.
Yes.
How did you do that?
I sent my friends to go and look for a product that are knowing that is not there.
And your friends didn't necessarily want the product.
No, I asked them to go and ask for it.
Or into
Because
the
they
shop
didn't want to keep my product on the shelf.
Demand.
Yeah, I had to create that demand.
So you fabricated demand.
Exactly.
My goodness. Okay. I just thought you'd tell us, because I know the story. I never get bored of hearing it, but I know everybody would like to hear it, that even when you're organized, even when you're prepared, there'll be setbacks. Listening to the story of Jabu Stone and Kamuhalo there, what examples can you give, and how could young people who are there listening, trying to start a business, trying to innovate, tap into institutions like institutes like that?
Yeah, I think on the towards the end of March this year, we hosted the National Indigenous Knowledge System Summit between these 5 consortium universities.
Right.
We're trying to address these issues of how can we create opportunities for young students who come to IKS and they graduate, because right now, if you go to government departments, not all of them are conversant with this idea of IKS and how they can create opportunities for these young learners like internships and to budget for this kind of. So we recruit students, we train them, and then when they get out of the system, some of them, they go home sitting with those degrees. So what we are trying to encourage today is that to say, don't go out and look for jobs when you get out of the university. Be a creative student, so that even because there are so many things in our. I like the story of Baba, my brother and his sister, because those are some of the stories that we can bring as case studies for our students to show that through your own local resources, you can able to come up with ideas that will go international if you are actually having a vision. But the problem is that there is no information and there is no resources, and students, they don't know how to get hold of some of these services. Like, for instance, I'm very glad that SETA is hosting this kind of an, because our students are listening outside there.
Right.
So that they can know that there are opportunities that they have to go and unlock. You don't have to sit there and go and get a degree and think that somebody will give them a job outside there. In this today's world, it is very difficult. Unemployment is a huge problem. So where we are sitting here, we are trying to show young graduates and young students who want to come to IKS that be an innovative thinker. Think outside of the box, because concepts like beauty, as my sister have said, we need to redefine it. Because when you talk of beauty, in many cases, what people think beauty is only for females or for women. And if you are a man, you must be having those smelling armpits, your dreadlocks must be like otherwise, and then you must always be wearing greasy overalls and boots. Beauty is not just only for females. Even also as you are a man, you must also, but beauty, you can define it yourself, it must not be defined by somebody else. And even the concept of research that you spoke about, I'm very glad my brother has done his own research, because research in this area in many cases is done by people who come from outside, who use their own Eurocentric methodologies, who don't even understand, the cultural protocols, because research is about intellectual property rights. Research is also about the benefits that can accrue from whatever that we are producing, if there are commercial benefits from there. But in many cases, the research that is being done by institutions of higher learning, by science councils, they are the ones who run away with the IPR, and even the benefits, they don't accrue to those local. From where I'm sitting, we can use indigenous plants, like the oils that my brother has talked about. There are so many of them that we can use as cosmeceuticals. Because when I grew up, they used to use body escamele, the body cuticura. Those are Western products. They don't know that there are also products that we could be using in our own local communities. But how do we add value into those particular products? Like, for instance, lady perfume. People don't know that right now, like mpepo, that we normally burn as a sacred herb, we can also use that to make it a fragrant, a perfume, something that we can always use for. So all these things are also not only about the back times and where they come from. They can also be used now, because we can also, make them to be sexy, so that the younger generation can also.
Well, yes, please do that.
Yes.
But I want to ask you, is there a chance that there's too much knowledge already of research that has been done in indigenous knowledge, but is sitting on the shelves and is not crossing the commercial bridge to the other side? Is it possible, for Tadzo, when you look at what you know to be in the archives of IKS right now?
It's highly possible.
Right.
Because like Tate Jabu said, in many cases funding is the issue. And then some people, I'm knowledgeable, but I'm not so much I don't have the hindsight of what it is that I need to do to get my business across. So there's a lot of research that's been done.
Pardon me for interrupting. I'm more talking about some research that has already been done, whether it's by the CSIR or by the IKS, but is sitting in journals, because with respect to academics, they can write in a certain style that doesn't always cross over to commercial. I need to read about them in a newspaper, so that as fashionable as it is to Instagram about a Louis Vuitton or a whatever label, it's fashionable to Instagram about something that you've just completed at IKS, because you are now competing for popular culture. You have to compete with popular culture. So that when they say yellow bone on the one side, you can say, no, it's fine. But there is the equivalent, if not better, of that if your light skin is okay. But if you're not, you don't have to try and aspire to be the other side, because there is also as much fashion and as commercial value. So young people can say, I can sell as much the image to people who don't conform to conventional beauty. Is there a chance that you believe there could be knowledge there, but there's no bridge between redefining beauty for commercial success and the knowledge that's been done, so that not everybody has to do their research like Jabu, because he had the advantage of having studied some chemistry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's where the gap is. We are missing it in terms of bridging that very gap.
Right.
Knowledge is there. We are there with our hair and our beauty and our diversity and our shapes and all of that. But where are the platforms to marry the two things? So that is why my movement exists, to marry this thing, because we are about coaching, training, and creating platforms where this and this can be married. I think it's more on the knowledge base. When I was introducing and talking about redefining beauty, as a nation and as people, we need to first decide and agree that there is a need to redefine. We need to also collectively agree on why it needs to be done. You know, when it comes to issues of not only beauty, as well as hair, it's historic, it's political. We cannot run away from the fact that we love what we love now because we were taught to love it. We love what we love now because we were beaten to love it. Our hair was made straight to turn it and change the texture. We love Western, we love straight because it was inculcated into us. We cannot run away from the history that it's not because, oh, it's much prettier, much nicer. That is why, oh, it's lovely, we love it.
But I want you to take it further. It was inculcated because it made you look like the master. And if you look like the master, it brought you closer to that superiority, but it also had some commercial benefits. I'm trying to ask you here to talk to me about that ability to create enough commercial appeal, because otherwise, if we don't, we continue to talk about culture here and commerce there. So your child will say, it's fine to dress like he is, but if I'm going to go for a job interview and they will say, look at me and say, not in that dress, because people who make commercial decisions don't respect this outfit as part of form. That's why people like us show up in suits, because the commerce says if you show up like this, they won't ask you many questions. Show up like that, Jabu. Do you hear my frustration?
You know what? I was listening as they were talking, and I understand exactly. The information they have is so much, and it's sitting there, and it's not going to go anywhere until you get somebody. Because you see where I'm sitting, I've got a distribution network. I know, and also I know that product that they have, what else can I add on? To make it appeal to the next generation. Because you get, I'll give an example, I would go to people to say, you know what, I'm using oils only in my hair and this and that. Then I said, but look, I understand. Now I use my coconut, okay, fine, but how are you going to increase your business? How are you going to grow it? Now, because that coconut oil, you can only sell it to your friends and other people. I'm talking about, I want that product to go to Kenya. I want that product to go to outside there. Now, but do you have a shelf life? That product will be able to stay for another 2 years on the shelf. Do you have to can you add those things? Right. Now I'm coming there. Now you find that, so that is why we need as well, between the two of us, sit with them and say, now, let's adjust a little bit. I need to add something for the shelf life. I'm not gonna kill the properties and the quality of the coconut or anything, but let's add something for shelf life. Let's add something, this thing doesn't get funky inside. So, and also, as a business, let's convert this into a business. We kind of, because now he's going to come and say, but this is mine. I say, I understand it's just, but I am here. Let's create a working relationship. That's where now we need to create a partnership between the university and entrepreneurs and the network. You understand? So advocates, we sit there now and said, okay, bring me that. Now we know when it comes, it's going to come here and it's going to go there. Now, how do we make it appeal to the young person who's sitting there who is unhappy about the hairstyle and does want to look like my old granny, but I want to look more funky, I want to look happening and all that. Like, for example, see the hairstyle is braided nicely on the side, but it's afro. It's a mixture, you know. So those are so that's where we we will break through that.
Yeah.
But we need to sit down with that
plan
information
that,
that we have.
Now, we just come from Africa Day, May 25th. And that's when I see South Africans, especially Africans, remembering, hey, we are African. Then they wear some African outfit for a day, and that's it. They go back. Again, don't forget the power of commerce. That if somebody who hires you doesn't approve of what you wear, of your Africanness, you can't sustain it for much longer. But I'm looking at you, Otazo, and I'm saying, but you know the power of social media. You understand how to hashtag, how to create trends and get to the level where you're taken seriously. Dr. Kwesiwe here knows how to do research and lead and guide people to package. Jabu here knows how to channel knowledge from the shelves and journals into commerce, into money in the bank. Because with money in the bank, then we can have festivals that will showcase 200 different hairstyles with somebody with hair, 200 different hairstyles, and then we can have a festival that is happening every year. And in the build-up, we'll have regional festivals until the media will say, hang on, something is happening here. What is it? Until the distributors say, hey, what's the point of holding back that which there's a demand for? Hey, give me a roadmap here that shows me that you all appreciate the importance of this ecosystem that needs to be created. Dr. Kwesiwe, what do you think you would do with what you have to get us to where we are?
I think it's a very a pertinent challenge, that one that we are facing. And as I said, we have already started to do that.
Right.
We are partnering with companies, we are partnering with knowledge holders who are already doing things on the ground. So that when we bring up, because we don't want to go to government and look for funds and all these things. We want to bring government as a potential stakeholder in whatever that we have already started. And one of the things that I'm also looking forward to do is to take Indigenous knowledge systems outside of the formal university walls and establish these centers in our own townships, also in our own local communities, so that even institutions like of traditional leadership, they must also be involved because they control a lot of constituency there in rural areas. And that's where you find a lot of IKS. In Eastern Cape, there's a lot of plants that have been used for cosmeceuticals. In the Northwest Province, there's so many things that can also be digged out to make sure that we come up with things that we can be able to industrialize. Like for instance, we talk of, we're working with the CSIR on how we can commercialize the African ginger. Serokolo, that we all grew up with. So such kind of things, we see that when we put them in the shelf. Now we're talking also about cannabis. When we grew up, we knew that cannabis is also one of the dangerous things that must not be utilized. But if you look at the commercial benefits of this particular scary herb that we are talking about, and that can also be used to also on beauty, cosmeceuticals, and also on other things, to industrialize, I think this is where we are lacking. And to industrialize, we also need government support. Because if you go to other countries like China, I was in South Korea many years ago, I saw how they have their strategies of industrialization. So we must also do the same thing to change the mindset also of our younger generation, so we can speak also the language of commerce to them, so that they can see all these diverse opportunities that are there.
Let's just talk about the channels of advocacy. We talk about making something to trend, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram are all American companies, which means if they are going to change the order that threatens interests of American multinationals, it's going to be frozen like they froze Lengana with the COVID story. So are you working with people who are building the African YouTubes and African Instagrams? Because the way I see it, this is just a database that needs a server and some software that will allow people to communicate and generate algorithms to create a popular discussion.
The greatest struggle that is money. The Western world, or corporates, as you call it, they fund their projects. They push their projects. They enforce it. Marketing is the biggest, is a huge thing. For anything to be known, it has to be in front of people's eyes. Advertising. So us, people like us, advocates who are in our little corners, we do the work, but the work, we are reaching minimum people. My organization, we only have 1,500 members on Facebook. You know, how do we reach? How do we take things like this, like Redefining Beauty, and expose it to more people. What we
But
see.
does Facebook warn you from time to time that you are preaching hate speech?
Absolutely, we are censored.
So you're never going to get 10,000 members then, because if already what you post is threatening the stereotype that Mark Zuckerberg is promoting, you are already a threat to the establishment,
Absolutely.
which means you might not be able to rely on Facebook
We can't.
to get your story. But building an African Facebook shouldn't be that difficult, Dr. Kwetsu. I mean,
No, indeed. Like
you
for
have
this-
ICT students who
Yes,
are...
yes.
Uh-huh.
I can just make one example, my brother. In South Africa, we have huge knowledge. Let's only look at the astronomical knowledge that we have in South Africa.
Right.
We have a huge telescope that has been built here in South. We are one of the leading scientific researchers in astronomy.
Right.
And this knowledge, if you look at it, it doesn't only come from the telescopes. Our grandmothers used to teach us about the stars, the moon, and the constellations. So we really need to start our own things. We have good scientific researchers in the country. Why are they not researching about Lengana?
Right.
Why all this research about
Because
Lengana?
pharmaceuticals won't let...
Yes, let's start our own pharmaceutical companies that we can be able to work with cliques, to work with this big company, so we can put our products in those shelves. And we are already, this younger generation that we are training,
Right.
we are preparing them for this particular struggle, because it's not an easy struggle. It needs passion.
Right.
It needs people who have a particular focus and a world view that is not contaminated with Western ways of doing things.
All right. Let's take that as your wrapping remark. Khuthazo, your wrapping remarks in 30 seconds, 1 minute. What would you say today, listening to these conversations, you would encourage your age group? And I mean, I'm using you as the youth here because you are the youngest, not because you are the youngest in South Africa. What would you say the starting point should be? The one thing that everyone must do to get us to the level where we can take the advocacy to the right heights.
That's it. Know yourself.
Right.
From knowing yourself, you then start to see the differences that are around you.
Right.
By seeing the differences, you see the opportunities. I'm going to use a simple example like your Shoma Jules. She knows herself. She has seen what it is that is different about her. And now what is she doing? She's packaged it and she's selling it.
Excellent. Even John Cena now knows. I want to wrap up with Jabu Stone, but 30 seconds. If you were to say, Eskamohelo, the redefining beauty, what gaps do you see that need to be addressed? The biggest gap, one or two?
The biggest gap is that money is needed for programs like these to reach young people.
Right.
African millionaires must fund African ideologies, must fund African programs like mine, where we preach self-love, where we say, love yourself, know yourself, understand yourself. And you will, once you have reached that point, you will be able to celebrate yourself. Because all it is right now, the cultures that we wear, the clothes, the hair and everything, it's just a mere celebration of other people's culture.
Jabu Stone, playing the game, understanding the game enough to play it. What is your parting shot in 30 seconds? What a young person out there who believes they have the next Jabu Stone, well, not next Jabu Stone as in dreadlocks, but what did I call them?
The next
Dreadlocks?
entrepreneur.
As in hairlocks.
Hairlocks. I got to get the terminology.
Look, let me quickly. You just mentioned the cannabis. You know, it's an in thing now. We've got a sativa oil that is cannabis infused. We're using already. We've got a product called it there. But I think let's go step by step. Let's use whatever is available. Let's get some that can attract people to put the money into what is already existing. Let's kind of commercialize to be more attractive. And once it gets a trend, then the issue of money, because nobody funds something that he doesn't believe. It's his money. So that is why I say, let's do those things and attract them, and then we can, once the money is there, then we will preach what we want, like that indigenous thing. But for now, if it's not attractive to the masses, it's not gonna go anywhere. It will stay there with you.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, know yourself, says Khotazo here, and Jabu Stone is affirming that. If you have lack of having at least bigger hair than mine, because I cannot know my hair, it does not exist. But you have something that's part of your heritage and that's part of your beauty, your sense of beauty. Says Kamohelo, we must redefine that beauty. And Dr. Kwetsu here says, once you've done that, put it into a knowledge system. Make sure that there is a way to package it and make it as scientific as possible so that your peers can replicate it, but they can verify it as well, cross-check it, check whether it's valid. And that way we can create an ecosystem. So let's thank Amukelo Mahabani from Redefining Beauty Institute, Jabu Stone from Jabu Stone. Here is Khotatso Mafiri, so I don't call her by the wrong name again. And she is with Dr. Moteo Koidziwe from the Indigenous Knowledge System Center at the University of the Northwest. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's see how we can take this heritage and beauty conversation. Victor Homoisona, signing off.